Yo, 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 what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So, before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure y'all hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So, shout out to everybody who is in the room. It is good to see each and every one of you guys. If you all can hear me okay and everything looks good, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me or something's looking kind of weird, then give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody that's in the building. We got Brooklyn Queen 125 up in here. We got Al McGowan in the building. We got Torian Rain in the house. We got Vovo 2 Love in the building. We got Lloyd Sky 9. We got DC Precise. We got Patricia Slade, and we got Miss Nisi. All right, so shout out to y'all. It is good to see each and every one of you all. What we're going to talk about today is Charlemagne. All right, and as you guys can see, I had to change my title. Now, I think that is still the same title on YouTube. When you guys look at the stream, are you all able to see the title? If you guys can see the title, let me know what it says, because I think that YouTube actually automatically changed it. It wouldn't let me post with this title on Facebook or Twitch. So let me just double check here. So if you're watching from Facebook or Twitch, it's not gonna have the same title as it has on YouTube. All right. Yeah. Okay. So on YouTube, the title is Proof Charlamagne Da Fraud is a lying, talking point stealing Democrat shill and op. And believe it or not, all right, believe it or not, it would not let me post with that title on Facebook or Twitch. So the title has been reduced. Yeah, Charlamagne Da Fraud. Facts. Shout out to my man Win Lose the Rug, and shout out to Seeking the Truth Ministry. What's good with it? Shout out to Robin and Battle. All right. So now, why are we calling Charlamagne a fraud? I'm sure that everybody in here can think of reasons to call Charlamagne a fraud. But what did Charlamagne do leading up to Joe Biden's election? Anybody in the comment section know? What did Charlamagne and the Breakfast Club and a lot of these people in Hollywood and a lot of athletes, what did they do? Do you all think that they had some type of contribution to this disastrous presidency of Joe Biden? And if they did, let me know what kind of contribution you all think that they had. All right. We're going to take a look at a couple articles. We're going to take a look at a couple videos. What you're going to see, and what we actually had said this a while ago, is that all of the shills, what you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing the shills starting to shift. And what they're going to do is they're going to start shifting to sounding like talking points that you've heard before. They're going to start shifting and sounding like B1, ADOS, FBA, talking points. Philip Scott. You know what I'm saying? These Democrat shills are going to start shifting to try to hijack the sound of the grassroots, new black media talking points. So as you're listening to a lot of these people, do not be fooled. One thing that is very important to pay attention to is consistency. Shout out to my man Antithesis. What's good with it, bro? It's very important to pay attention to consistency. And if you pay very close attention to people like Charlemagne and all of these people, they're not consistent at all. Charlemagne is simply trying to ride the next wave to stay relevant. And he's trying to get out in front. If you guys recall, before the last election, P. Diddy tried to do this. P. Diddy tried to get out in front of the storm that was coming the Democrats' way. Okay? And all this is Charlemagne doing the exact same thing. Do not fall for anything that Charlemagne is doing or saying, because I'm telling you, what Charlemagne is trying to do is he's trying to give what appear to be honest critiques of Joe Biden, But what he's doing is he's attempting to use those critiques to say you're justified in your Joe Biden critique. However, don't stay home and not vote for Democrats, or don't vote for anybody else. Don't vote for any Republicans if you're somebody that's going to vote for a Republican. What he's trying to do is he's trying to quantitatively ease Joe Biden's numbers. He is absolutely not anti-Biden whatsoever. However, because they know that the Democrat support with black people has decreased, they're trying to make him a sympathizer for upset Democrats. Don't fall for it. Okay? Do not fall for it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to check out this article here from the Daily Mail. All right? I want y'all to let me know if y'all believe this. All right. The title of it is Charlamagne the God will not endorse Biden again in 2024 as influential radio host slams Kamala Harris for disappearing once she got to the White House, and president's support among black voters collapses. That right there is the only reason why Charlamagne is doing this. If the support for Democrats was still where it was at, Charlamagne would still be on the exact same page that he was on before. He'd be on the exact same page that he was on before. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, Charlamagne the God endorsed Biden Harris in 2020. Now, here's my question. If you're Charlamagne, right, what's the difference between 2024 and 2020 that you would all of a sudden just not endorse Biden Harris? Because see, us, we didn't endorse Biden Harris. You know what I'm saying? Charlamagne the God is the one who's changing stances here. The problem is that Charlamagne the God has the vehicle of iHeartRadio and the Breakfast Club, and he's able to use that to fall in line with the Democrats and use it to be able to help the right wing perpetuate the anti-black stereotype that black people are all Democrats. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, I've learned my lesson from doing that, he said in an interview with Politico. And we'll be looking at this interview that he did with Politico tomorrow. Charlamagne the God says that he's learned his lesson from 2020 and will not be endorsing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris this time around. Now, here's my question. He says that he learned the lesson. Okay, Charlamagne, what's the lesson that you learned? What lesson did Charlamagne learn? I'll tell you what lesson Charlamagne learned. Charlamagne learned that if he wants to stay popular with black people and if he wants to maintain that radio station job that he has, he better do something to sound like everybody else. That's what Charlamagne learned. He didn't learn anything about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because at the end of the day, he still supports them and he still has correspondence to them. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, please take a moment. Make sure you guys show Seeking the Truth Ministry some love with the $5 super sticker. Definitely appreciate it. Make sure y'all throw some radiation emoji in the chat and some flames in the chat for her. The Breakfast Club radio personality, whose real name is Leonard McKelvey, has been a thorn in the side of the Biden administration, asking a series of pointed questions, and admitted that listeners had given him grief for telling them who to support in 2020. All right. So now asking Biden questions, that makes him a thorn in Biden's side, asking questions. What is this, a dictatorship? You're not allowed to ask questions? Now, let me ask you guys a question. Why is it that the dominant society and some people amongst us just constantly attempts to reiterate the fact that a radio host or athletes or rappers are quote unquote our thought leaders? How many people are tired of that? Why are they sitting up here saying that people that can't think or people that do not show a pattern of creative, innovative, or educated thought are quote unquote our thought leaders? How many of you all feel that any of these people are quote unquote our thought leaders? See, shout out to Patricia Slade, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna definitely look at that. But Patricia Slade just basically summarized my entire stream in her comment. This fraud was on Joy Reid saying he can't vote for Trump because he's a fascist. So he's voting for Biden. So if he's not gonna not vote, or if he's not gonna vote for Trump, then what is the point of him saying any of this stuff? Why would you come out and open your mouth? Make it make sense. Charlamagne has even appeared on the campaign trail with Harris in 2019 when she unveiled her mental health plan, something that she should probably take part in her own damn self. Something of a personal issue for the radio host who has spoken of his own struggle. So yeah, clearly he must be having a bipolar manic moment here. Now he says he feels burned by the whole experience. I've learned my lesson from doing that, he said. Once they got in the White House, she kind of disappeared. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Who was out here saying that this is what was going to happen once these people got in the White House? Who was saying this? Thank goodness some people were listening to other stuff other than the Breakfast Club. But again, if you're listening to a hip-hop radio station for political commentary, that's like shopping for fresh fruit at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't advise anybody go to McDonald's and look for a nice fresh tangerine or a nice fresh nectarine or a nice fresh peach. I wouldn't advise people to do that. But if you're going to a junk radio station for quality information and content, you're shopping at the wrong venue. So that would be an initial mistake. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man James Hudson. What's good with it? So now here it says he made his comments in an interview with Politico, which, like I said, we'll be going over tomorrow. They will not come as a surprise after he spent the past 3 years asking searching questions of the Biden administration and calling recently for the president to stand aside to allow room for someone better able to, quote unquote, defeat Donald Trump. So the fact that he's not open to exploring Trump or either exploring anything on the other side that might possibly be favorable to black people, that shows you that he's not objectively thinking. He's still Democrat agenda based. He's not black people based. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. So, because Bing is so wonderful, they put a video clip here from Fox that's talking about Biden losing support with black, Hispanic, and young voters. And this is going to cause problems for Fox News and conservatives as well, because now they're not going to be able to spin the same silly narrative that black people are synonymous with Democrats. So now they're going to have to come up with some type of new slander. So we'll have the entire 2024 to see how creative they can be. So let's check this out.
Biden's policies, for Hispanics, for most Democrats, it's worked in the past, but we're feeling it at the grocery store. We're feeling it at the gas station. We're going to vote based on that.
So check this out, right? Do you guys see what's going on here? I don't know if this is a I don't know if this is a biological woman or not. I'm going to be 100% honest. There's a lot of women who get really triggered and really upset when men critique, like their hair or their makeup, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I don't see why men can't critique those things, because in many cases, those are things that men look at and determine whether a woman is attractive or not. So I'm going to critique something here. I don't approve of those eyebrows. I don't approve of those eyebrows. If you approve of those eyebrows, give me a thumbs up. If you don't approve of those eyebrows, give me a thumbs down. I don't approve of those eyebrows. I think this individual might stand in front of a urinal to empty its bladder. And I think that that's something you should come out and say. You know what I'm saying? I think that's as nice as I can say that. So, you know what I'm saying?
We're feeling it at the grocery store. We're feeling it at the gas station. We're going to vote based on that.
Financial insecurity is among highest it's ever been with young Hispanics. And young Hispanics are going to flock behind a candidate that can support and champion working class families.
Well, some new polls are staggering for President Biden, Vice President Harris. The new Suffolk USA Today poll out today shows the president losing support with Black voters, Hispanic voters, and young voters. What's most surprising, perhaps, is
the thing about this, right, is this is old news. This is not anything new. We've actually talked about this exact situation right here. You know what I'm saying? And see, they got the little Charlemagne video right here. They got this little Charlemagne video right here. We might check this out too.
Change in Hispanic voters with the former president getting 39 to 34. That
now look at this. I want y'all to look at these statistics right here. Black voters, 63% for Joe Biden. 12% for Trump. Hispanic voters, 34 for Biden, 39 for Trump. Ages 13 through 34, which these are white people that they're talking about here, 33% and 37%. Let me ask you guys this question. Everybody else is split 50-50. Why, after all of the things that Democrats have done, do Democrats still have 63% of the black vote? Why? Yeah, I agree. I agree with Patrick Taylor. Patrick Taylor says that black vote at 63% is too high. Who are these people? I don't know. I don't know why. That, to me, that's inexcusable. That's a bad look. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is split 50-50. Black voters who Joe Biden is doing absolutely nothing for, 63%. I gotta agree with Patrick. Makes us look, it either makes us look incompetent or obtuse. Now, shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug says, can we trust these numbers? I would say no. I would say don't trust these numbers. However, I would say compare the numbers across different polls and compare those numbers that you see in the polls to people that you talk to in the field. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Ruthless Millennium 2000, Roland Martin viewers. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Now, here goes my question. I've been saying this forever. Any information that we don't trust from the mainstream media, if we don't have any information to counter it that we've produced on our own, we can't just say, well, can we trust it? If you ask me. If we haven't produced our own information out of skepticism of the mainstream media's information, not trusting the mainstream media without production of our own information doesn't really reinforce that we don't trust it. What it sounds like is a knee-jerk reaction. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. So we need to be doing our polling, right? But now here's my question. Who's doing polling? Who's getting any information? You know what I'm saying? That's these Republicans and Democrats, they have these think tanks that come up with all of this data, and they manipulate the data. And they manipulate the data in a way where they can present it in the mainstream media to push whatever narrative or to push whatever agenda that they want to push. You know what I'm saying? If we don't trust the information that comes from these think tanks, or which is also the same information that comes from the mainstream media, we have to produce our own information. You know what I mean? And that's what I've recommended as far as this, as far as crime statistics, as far as everything. Until we produce our own information, to me, the best strategy is to compare across the different polls. However, I think that we should have our own information. You know what I'm saying? If we don't produce our own information, to me, that doesn't show the action that we are skeptical of the information that the mainstream is providing. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Is about 2-to-1 difference from where 2020 ended up with President Biden. And then young voters had exponential bigger lead in that group, President Biden did in 2020, than now. Let's bring in our panel. Guy Benson, political editor at townhall.com, the host of the Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio. Axios political reporter Steph.
Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Lloyd Sky 9 for 11 months of membership support. Definitely appreciate it. Please make sure y'all show him some love. Throw some radiation emoji and some flames in the chat for Lloyd Sky 9. Definitely appreciate it, bro. And also, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have not hit the bell, we got 74 people watching and we got 46 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 100 likes, that'd be great.
Kite and Fox News media analyst, host of Fox News Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz. Guy, these numbers, I mean, they track.
And also, shout out to my man Lloyd Sky 9 for becoming the first stream sponsor. I'm sorry, the second stream sponsor. Seeking the Truth Ministry was the first stream sponsor. Shout out to Seeking the Truth Ministry. And also shout out to my man Lloyd Sky 9 for doubling down on the membership support with the $5 super chat. Please make sure y'all show him some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat and some flames in the chat for him as well. And also, again, like I said, if you guys have not smashed that like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please hit that bell. And also, wherever you're watching from, please share the stream.
With other poll numbers we've seen, but on these issues for these demographics, this has to be a red alert for the White House.
Oh yeah, major red flag, because it's not an outlier, to your point, Brett. I am still skeptical that ultimately, if Joe Biden is the nominee for the Democrats later on this year, that he would only perform in the 60s among black voters, that he would lose among young voters to Donald Trump, lose Hispanics outright. That might be a little bit more believable. Ultimately, though, I think the concern for Democrats isn't that a lot of these folks will suddenly say, okay, we've been sort of leaning left and Democrat voters for a while, but we're going to switch teams and vote for Trump this time. Some certainly will. I think the bigger worry for them is people staying home, because
now, I think that people staying home is going to be a big issue too, because there's a lot of people that are changing parties, right? And then there's other people that are staying home because they're not satisfied. Both of those things are going to hurt the Democrats. And honestly, I don't think that the Democrats have anything that they can bring forth to counter that, because their performance across the board at the state, local, and federal level has been so dismal and horrible in every possible aspect. Diehard Democrats are just not going to vote, and other people are going to switch parties. And nobody, for the most part, is approving of Joe Biden in his job as president currently. His approval ratings are at all-time lows.
They need to reassemble a coalition that barely got Biden across the finish line in a handful of states, and maybe try to build on that if they want to beat Trump, if there is a hypothetical rematch here. If they can't hit their numbers among some of these key groups, especially in a handful of places, that could be enough to lose them this election.
Steph, the White House pushback, the Biden campaign pushback is don't believe any of these polls. Take a listen.
Now, check this out, right? Knowing how far behind the Democrats have fallen, knowing how they're losing support like an avalanche, it's just the loss of support is snowballing. What have Democrats offered black people to possibly gain the support back? What have they come out and offered anything? They've come out and offered a bunch of studies. And this is how you know that it's getting close to the election and shill season is about to begin. You got Brandon Johnson throwing around some fake reparations talk. You got Kathy Hochul throwing around fake reparations talk. And nobody is coming with anything of any substance. All they're doing is pulling out their symbolism, their trophies, and their trinkets. Also bringing into the fold a lot of these quote unquote first blacks, first black congressman, first black governor, first black XYZ, all of these first blacks who most of them are not American blacks. They're not freemen, American descendants of slaves, or FBAs. And most of them are just straight up shills. They're breaking. I think it was on TD Hip Hop Media channel. Some clown is talking about a Jay-Z holiday. The fact that they even come and try to offer nonsense like that, the fact that somebody actually, see, me and TD talked about this, right? After he did that stream, we had a conversation. And what I told TD is that the Democrats will come with static policy or static gifts for black people. You know what I'm saying? And then they come with dynamic policy or dynamic gifts for other people. Now, what does that mean when I say static versus dynamic? Let me ask you guys a question. If this year they create a Jay-Z holiday, in 10 years, what can you do with that Jay-Z holiday to improve your situation that you're living in? Now, if they expand or create a small business loan program for foundational Black Americans that helps to improve the amount and size of Black businesses and increase the number of startup Black businesses and the length of life of Black businesses, is that a static or is that a dynamic policy? That's a dynamic policy, because in 10 years, not only will you have your business, in theory, that will have grown, you'll also have grown your wealth, and you'll be able to build onto that policy. With the business that you have, then that policy might drive you to vote for some other type of tax legislation. That's a dynamic policy. It's a policy that can expand. The static policy, once they put it in place, that's it. You can't do anything else with it. And in most cases, everybody's going to benefit. So they give everybody a day off. How does that benefit Black people specifically? If it doesn't benefit Black people specifically, then you got to ask the question, why are you targeting this nonsense at Black people? Why are you selling me this, talking about I'm going to give you all this day off? You know that we ain't the only ones that's going to get that day off. It's just like Martin Luther King Day. We ain't the only ones that get Martin Luther King Day off. Everybody gets Martin Luther King Day off. So how does Martin Luther King help anybody? It's good for historical purposes as a reminder, right? But as far as dynamic wealth building, asset building, power building, does it help? How would a Jay-Z holiday help you build power? How would it help you improve your life or the life of the future generations? Now, let me ask you guys this question. Sanctuary city, open borders for the migrants, is that dynamic or is that static? That's dynamic because that's changing the voting composition of the country a couple years down the line, right? So that's a policy that continues to evolve. It doesn't just stay the same. So when they come with this symbolism and this nonsense, I would always ask myself, is this static or is this dynamic? If it's static, it should be an automatic no. Let me ask you guys a question. Would you all invest your money into an investment that has a static rate of return? Like if you had an investment and your option was this investment has a fixed rate of return of 1% forever, are you going to invest in that? Or are you going to invest in an investment that gives you an opportunity for dynamic earning, for dynamic capital gains, for dynamic returns, dynamic dividends? Static 1% indefinitely, that might not even be enough to cover inflation. It definitely wouldn't be able to cover inflation under a Biden administration. Static will have that 1% flat the entire time, which means that if the economy improves, you won't be able to benefit from it. If the stock market booms, you won't be able to benefit from it. You want to be able to get dynamic policy where you can compound your benefit on it. How do you compound your benefit on a symbolism? That's the question that everybody should ask themselves. Anytime anybody sells you something, does this appreciate? Does it stay the same or does it depreciate? Just like if you buy something, you buy a car, everybody knows that a car depreciates. Let me ask you guys a question. Affirmative action. Did affirmative action appreciate or did it depreciate? Affirmative action lost value as soon as you drove it off the lot. Those are the kind of policies that the Democrats tend to try to sell, which is why it's important for there to be far less than 63% of Black voters supporting them. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. If that logic makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, then give me a thumbs down.
This president has done more in 3 years than any other president has done in 2 terms. That the president, even though his plan was stopped, he was able to take action. And we were able to...
They said that Biden did more in 3 years than any other president has in 2 terms. Is that true? Shout out to DeAndre. What's good with it? Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Shout out to David Brown. Is that true? Shout out to DC Precise. Is that a true statement? Shout out to Torian Rain. Torian Rain said, Rob, I thought Stud Pierre was your friend. Nah. She don't be talking the right stuff for me. You know what I'm saying?
3 years than any other president has done in 2 terms. That the president, even though his plan was stopped, he was able to take action, and we were able to get rid of about $130 billion of debt. Let's not forget climate change. The president has done more on climate change than any other president has been able to do. Those are the.
So now here's my question, right? Remember, in this little video clip here from Fox, the concentration of what we're talking about is Black voters, Hispanic voters, and young voters. Now, out of all of the stuff that Fox is talking about, clearly what we're most interested in is Black voters, right? But this isn't a Black news channel, so they're covering multiple things, right? But we get that. So my question for everybody who is watching is, out of everything that she just listed, which of those things, quote unquote, helps Black people the most?
Issues that young people care about.
Shout out to Mike TV. What's good with it, bro?
You know, the issue of abortion, the issue of climate change, that traditionally goes the Democrats' way. But you look at these polls, they are tracking the other way. And the White House continues to say, no, but it's really happening.
Yeah, you know, we do continue to hear White House officials kind of say that, you know, you can't take these polls too seriously, that we are still a long ways out from Election Day. But you have to look at the trend we've seen here over the past several months, with poll after poll indicating that Biden is losing support among the very demographics he will desperately need in order to.
So see, Joe Biden is losing support. He is losing support among the quote unquote very demographics that he's gonna need to have support from in order to even be able to be competitive with Trump. At this point, with the cratering Democrat support, the decrease of Black support, and the exodus of the other groups of people that tend to be more Democratic, it's a wrap for Biden. Shout out to Patrick. Patrick said, Rob, you're wrong about the Democrats and Biden. I just realized that they are doing something for Blacks. They make sure abortion for Blacks is available. Yo, that's facts. That's big facts. If you guys agree with Patrick, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Win re-election next year. He has some of the lowest poll numbers overall for the past at least 7 presidents at this point heading into re-election. And at the end of the day, you can't ignore so many polls that seem to be showing warning signs. We know that they're going to continue to push the issues that matter, push the issues that have historically turned out Democratic voters, such as abortion, democracy, these topics that we know Biden favors. We're going to continue to see them pushing those. And of course, the economy, that's one thing the poll did show. You know, there was some movement on the economy, with Americans being a little bit more likely to say they see it as in recovery, which could be a good sign, but they have a long way to go if they expect to be competitive this year.
Howie, meantime, the former president is fighting back these efforts to keep him off.
Shout out to Win Loser Rug, and shout out to my man KO Kid Fit. He said, don't be on that. Everybody need a chance now. Don't be on that. Everybody need a chance now stuff.
Ballots. This is the Washington Post. Trump appeals Maine's decision to ban him from the primary ballot. Trump's filing came as he prepared a separate appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court over a decision from Colorado's top court that would keep him off the ballot in that state. Efforts to remove the former president from the ballot in other states are ongoing, increasing pressure on the Supreme Court to resolve the issue for the entire country. Meantime,
all right, so now, you know, we know why they're doing that. You know what I'm saying? We know why they're doing that whole thing there, right? So we're going to take a quick look at this other video, and it's a 1-minute clip. It's a 1-minute clip that looks like Fox posted from CNN. All right. And give me 1 second, and then we're gonna go back to this article. All right, hold on. Here we go. Let me see. Boom. There we go.
In a recent interview saying that you regret endorsing Joe Biden. Why?
Let's start there. First of all, is that sincere? Does Charlemagne actually regret endorsing Joe Biden? Or do you all think that Charlemagne is being told to say this because he's going to use a different tactic to try to redirect votes to Democrat candidates? What do you guys think?
It's not that I regret endorsing Joe Biden. It's just that, I think that we all can get burned, by politicians. Because when I say endorsing, I put my name and my reputation on the line with my listeners. And when my listeners feel like...
What name and reputation? And the other guy on Breakfast Club is a scammer who is being investigated for real estate fraud. So what kind of reputation do they actually have over there as far as at the Breakfast Club? You know what I'm saying?
Like he didn't deliver, they come back to me and they say, hey man, you're the one who told us to vote for Joe Biden. You're the one who told us to vote for Kamala Harris. So
why would anybody listen to a radio DJ? Now, if you was telling me what equipment to spin records on, maybe I would listen. If you was maybe possibly telling me about some music that I should play at a party, then maybe I would listen. But why is anybody listening to a disc jockey about political information? What kind of credentials does Charlamagne the God have as far as years reputation of providing political analysis, credentials, formal education? Does he have any type of credentials that would give him any legitimacy to give any of the type of recommendations that he gives? If you ask me, not only does Charlamagne the God need to be criticized, but iHeartRadio also needs to be criticized. It might not be a bad idea for people to, go after iHeartRadio with a class action lawsuit for bombarding the Black community with years of misinformation to the point to where provable damage is able to be shown. I would do that. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. When organizations or people do this kind of stuff, they have to be made to pay. They have to be shown that they cannot do this without it costing them something. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Phil Mayo with the $10 super sticker. Please make sure you guys show Phil some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat and some flames in the chat for Phil. Definitely appreciate you, bro.
I care about my listeners and what my listeners think, but I do want to say that, I think President Biden historically has been a lack of a better word, a elected official. But, Donald Trump is the end of democracy as we know it.
So you'd vote for Biden again?
I'm not saying either or.
Right. No, I agree with that, King. Right. I don't disagree with you, bro. King says you don't have to have a career in journalism or politics to talk about it. As for following a fool, that's on these fools. Now, here's my question. What would your expectation be of someone that you would take serious who's talking about politics? Because my thing is with the statement that I made, I didn't say that you had to be restricted to a career in journalism or politics, right? There was also the part that I put in about a reputation. Or also, a track record, a provable track record, experience, right? So my thing is, I agree with you that you don't have to have a career in journalism, but my question would then be, what are the standard minimum requirements that you would expect somebody to have for you to take them serious in their analysis of political issues? And that's not just a question for King. That's a question for anybody. Everybody's free to answer that question, and I invite everybody to answer that question. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Patrick Taylor for the $4.99 super chat. Please make sure you guys show some love, throw some thumbs up, radiation emoji, flames in the chat for Patrick. Definitely appreciate it. So now you guys see here, Charlamagne the God told Politico during a recent interview that he regretted backing the Biden-Harris ticket in 2020. One thing that I find interesting is that Charlamagne has not mentioned how much damage he thinks that he could have possibly caused by doing that. And also, why did he do it? How much was he paid? Do you all think that he got a paycheck to represent the Biden-Harris administration? He also said that he felt Vice President Harris disappeared when she got into the White House. Well, we do know this, right? We know that Vice President Harris was given the assignment of being the border czar, right? Now, here's my question. Where has Vice President Harris been in regards to the migrant crisis? Where's she been at? Where your ass was at? Who made that song, Future? Where your ass was at? All right, so there's that. All right, so let's get rid of that. We're going to go back up here. We're going to go back to this video that Fox had. Let's see. And that's facts. King again coming with the facts. How can someone disappear that was never there? Big facts.
Trump's rivals are weighing in on that.
You have individuals who are deciding who the American people should and shouldn't vote on. I will defeat Donald Trump fair and square. I don't need him thrown off the ballot.
All right, let me ask y'all this. Do y'all believe Nikki Haley? Is she going to defeat Donald Trump fair and square? She doesn't need him thrown off the ballot? Oh, man.
This should be decided by the voters of the United States. It should not be decided by courts. It's not good for our democracy.
Let's just be clear. If one of Trump's competitors were kicked off the ballot, he would be spiking the football. He would be cheering it. That's just a fact.
I mean, that's one way, Howard, to spin it, Governor DeSantis' way. But for the most part, these candidates' opponents are left trying to defend Trump.
Sure, they want to beat him at the ballot box. And I think this effort by Maine.
All right, so now they've gone away from talking about the loss of support. So I think we're cool on this. So now here it says, but they will be cause for concern in the Biden camp at a time when his campaign has seen support among Black voters slipping. Now, we've been there's a lot of us that have been following this the entire time, and we have all been criticizing that the mainstream media has not mentioned anything about the lack of Black support for the Democrats. And one of the things that we said was that when the situation got to where it could not be ignored anymore, the mainstream media would bombard people with a lot of headlines that read very similar to what they're talking about right here and try to take hold of the narrative before they lose control of it. And that right there is the point that they're at right now. Okay. So now here it says the president carried 87% of the Black vote in 2020, but the latest Daily Mail JL Partners poll showed that he now has 64%. And we're going to be looking at another poll from Gallup, which Gallup shows some even different numbers. Okay. And we're not going to be looking at that today, but we'll be looking at it at a later date. That still gives him a 42-point lead over Trump, but will be causing jitters about whether the 2020 coalition that powered Biden to victory is breaking down. And I don't think that he has I don't think that he has a lead over Trump. Now, here's Charlemagne. Charlemagne said he knew that he held sway with his listeners who number more than 4 million a month. Now, here's my question. If Charlemagne knew that he held sway with his listeners, then my question is, why did he not advise his listeners to make better choices? Why did Charlemagne purposely drive his listeners to make decisions that will ultimately hurt them? That's what Charlemagne, now this is what people should pay attention to. That is what Charlemagne did with his quote unquote so-called sway. He said that he has so much sway. He has sway with his voters. He has sway with his listeners, right? So the sway that you have with your listeners, what you did with that sway was you took that sway and you directed people into a brick wall at a high speed. When I give people my word, like, yo, man, I think we should be supporting Kamala Harris for vice president because she's going to hold it down. When we say those things and people don't see her holding it down, that causes issues, he said. Well, maybe you shouldn't have said that. In 2020, he explained that his endorsement was all about Harris and upending the long tradition of quote unquote white men running Washington. I'm voting for Kamala Harris. I'm going to tell you that in a heartbeat. I'm not necessarily voting for Joe Biden. I'm voting for Senator Kamala Harris, he said then. Now, what about Senator Kamala Harris and her anti-black male record as a prosecutor in California? Kamala Harris utilized that system, quote unquote, that's ran by old white men to lock up massive amounts of black men and other black people in California. She took somebody's kid away from them. And she celebrates Kwanzaa. She claims she cooked collard greens. Smoke some weed, listening to Tupac. What the hell does that do for anybody? The stuff that they approach us with and say. Have you guys ever heard, when they go to these white places, like they're having that Iowa caucus. How many of those Republican presidents or how many of those Republican candidates are going to tell their caucus, hey, they're going to tell the people, I did a little bit of meth back in my day too. There's a couple of times when I was down and out and I just decided to shoot up. So I know where you're coming from. Seriously? When I was working in the stock room, I had to work some long hours. I had a little bit of cocaine. Tell me stay up. Do you think that any of these conservative candidates are going to talk to their audience and say, what was your favorite heavy metal song to crush up Adderall and sniff while listening to? You think they're going to do that? What I find fascinating is that other people have the same access to see how the Democrats communicate with us. They have the same access to see this. They see it. And the only time they say anything about it is when they attempt to try to get us on board with some nonsense that they have going on. Other than that, they just ignore it, act like it didn't happen. They literally act like the Democrats are supposed to be coming at us like that. That's utterly disrespectful on all sides. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Miss Nisi with the $5 super sticker. Please make sure you guys show her some love. Definitely appreciate it. Throw some flames and some radiation emoji in the chat for Miss Nisi. If you ask me, these things need to be jumped on immediately. As soon as they show their head, they need to be jumped on, stomped out immediately. So now here it says, but within a year, he was asking tricky questions, which led to an awkward showdown with Harris on his since canceled Comedy Central show, The God's Honest Truth. Now, mind you, this is the Daily Mail saying that this is an awkward and tricky question. Did you all think that any of these questions that Charlamagne asked Kamala Harris were awkward and tricky? I didn't think any were. Shout out to OG Patrice. What's good with it, OG Patrice? Amid negotiations with holdout Democratic senators over what would become the Inflation Reduction Act, he asked her, who is the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President? Okay. So we all saw that. She goes, come on, Charlamagne, she said, showing her irritation. It's Joe Biden. And don't start talking like a Republican, asking about whether or not he's the president. So don't start talking like a Republican. Well, the only problem is that, quote unquote, talking like a Republican is literally disagreeing with anything that any of these Democrats say. As soon as you have an issue with something, like you have an issue with the migrants, you have an issue with open borders, you have an issue with your tax dollars being utilized to do nothing to reinvest into you and to do everything to reinvest into people who criminally enter the country, all of a sudden you're, quote unquote, talking like a Republican. We can talk like whoever we want to. If Republicans say something and it makes sense, if you want to sit there and say we're talking like a Republican, in your mind, I guess we're talking like a Republican. That's not going to stop anybody from continuing the conversation. This train keeps going. Would you guys agree? When people say something like you're talking like a Republican, that's shaming language. They utilize shaming language because they do not want to have to deal with the failures that you're addressing. Because in most cases, if you're criticizing the Democrats, you're criticizing them based on where they came up short, failures. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Biden had his own awkward moment when he was interviewed over video link from his basement during the pandemic when he had largely secured the Democrat nomination. The question focused on the idea that black voters often felt they were taken for granted of by Biden's party. Now, Biden reinforces that the Democrats take advantage of black people. And how you can see him do this is when anytime Joe Biden is asked to directly address a disparity or an issue that black people have, I'm going to ask you guys, what does Joe Biden do? When somebody says, Joe Biden, President Biden, there's this issue that's specifically affecting black people. What does Joe Biden do? Well, if we can't give anything or do anything for the native indigenous, it's not a conversation we can have. Are you serious? But that's what Joe Biden, that's what they do. That's what Joe Biden does. It's not made up. It's real. It's what he does. As the conversation was drawing to a close, Biden said he had to jump off the call because his wife needed the room. You can't do that to black media, Charlamagne said, which is a false statement because the Breakfast Club is not black media. Let's just verify that. Is the Breakfast Club black media? If you all consider the Breakfast Club black media, give me a thumbs up. If you do not consider it black media, then give me a thumbs down. Biden hit back in a moment that quickly went viral. You've got more questions, but I can tell you, if you got a problem, whether or not you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Now, mind you, that didn't tell anybody anything. What did telling somebody you ain't black if you don't vote for me, what did that do as far as policy goes? Did we get anything out of that? Shout out to Kid Gravity. What's good with it, bro? Since then, Charlemagne had, and I'll tell you what, Charlemagne did not like how that was received. That made him look real bad, and he felt that. Would you guys agree? He felt that, man. People were not feeling the fact that Charlemagne let him get that off on him. And Charlemagne has been looking to try to redeem himself ever since. Even though he's not unredeemable, he's been trying. But there is no redeeming Charlemagne. It's almost like Democrats are doing this purity test. America is not pure. The people of America are not pure. We're flawed. I'm looking for my politicians to be pure. I'm looking for my politicians to be effective. That leaves voters with not much of a choice, he added. It's 2024. It's a race between the cowards, the crooks, and the couch, he said, suggesting that many people might simply stay home rather than vote. Let me see. Okay, yes. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right. So next, what we're going to look at is I think, let me see, this might actually be the full video. Let me see. Hold on real quick, y'all. Give me 1 second. Real quick, while you guys are, okay, yeah, so this is actually the same as the video. Same as the video that we watched on that page. So we actually do not need to watch this. So we can get rid of that. All right. And then next, what we're going to do is we're going to look at this article right here where Charlamagne the God is stumped by his dissatisfied Democrat fans. Now, this is an article from the Wrap right here. Shout out to Kid Gravity, Wrap Around. This is an article from the Wrap Around. Charlamagne the God stumped by dissatisfied Democrats. What am I supposed to tell them other than Donald Trump is a fascist? Let me ask y'all this. Is Donald Trump a fascist? Here's my question. How is Joe Biden not a fascist? If Donald Trump is a fascist, give me a thumbs up. If he's not a fascist, give me a thumbs down. Now, as far as Charlemagne goes, we already know what Democrats think of Republicans. I want to know where the honest criticism of the Democrats is. Notice how Charlemagne has not mentioned the migrant issue. Notice how Charlemagne has not mentioned the economy. What actual issue has Charlemagne said Joe Biden failed us on this issue? Has he isolated a specific issue and drilled it home? This is what the Democrats have failed on. Has he done that yet? The fact that he hasn't done that is also another indicator that his outrage is fake outrage. Charlamagne the God got some fake outrage popping off. And he's trying to sell it to you like it's real. Radio host and media personality Charlamagne the God says he is stumped on how to advise, listen to this, Black Democratic listeners who are disaffected by the party today under President Joe Biden. How do you have a problem understanding how to advise how to deal with that? Let me ask you all this. If you all were Charlamagne the God and your voters were not satisfied with the candidates that you endorsed last cycle, how would you handle it? How would you all deal with it? Would you sit there and say, well, I don't know how to deal with it, so I'm going to just tell them to keep doing the same thing? Shout out to 42 Tribes. 42 Tribes said Joe Biden is a Pokemon. He evolved from Jim Crow Joe Bidemon to Genocide Joe Bidemon. Facts. So now this is a summary of Charlamagne when he was on MSNBC's The Readout. We're going to take a look at this video. He said that at least one concrete answer that any option other than Donald Trump is the best option, but said some people weren't willing to accept that. We don't have to accept that just because you said to accept it. There are some people that are going to vote for Donald Trump. If that's what they want to do, then that's what they should do. Joe Biden had his opportunity and failed. And when you have your opportunity and fail, what that means is that it's perfectly okay, normal, and logical for people to seek other options. Shout out to Kid Gravity. Kid Gravity says all he should say is look at the issues and the proposed policies. Find the one that is right for you. Now we play drill music. Facts. If you guys agree with Kid Gravity, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 78 people watching and we got 81 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 100, that'd be great. So now here says show host Joy Reid had asked Charlamagne what audience members, specifically black people, are calling into his show and saying they have not gotten out of having voted consistently for Democrats and for Joe Biden. Now, I'm going to ask you guys that, and I want you guys to put all of that in the comment section. Shout out to RG Titan. What's good with it, bro? Upward mobility, Charlamagne said. Simple as that. Like, people want security, and a lot of that security is financial. Like, it's simple and plain. It's been whether it was President Obama, whether it was all the way back to Clinton and now Joe Biden. They feel like the Democratic Party has never promised that. Now, what I find interesting is that Charlamagne, when given this opportunity, did not specifically say reparations. That's another red flag. What do black people want? Upward mobility? What was the episode where people called in and said specifically that they wanted upward mobility? How many of y'all would call in and say y'all want upward mobility? We're not talking about a job application. We're not talking about applying for a position at the company and what is one of the benefits that you want, upward mobility. That's not what anybody's talking about. We're talking about politics. And I got, in facts, they barely take calls. Exactly. But Charlamagne said he didn't have a good option for them, especially as Trump continues to have a chokehold on the Republican presidential nomination. So Joe Biden sucks. The Democrats have failed. Vote for the Democrats again just so Trump doesn't get in. Does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense. Why then would Charlamagne recommend this? Charlamagne would recommend this because he's not actually against the Democrats. This is not Charlemagne being against Joe Biden. What this is a disgruntled Democrat campaign effort right here in order to get people to say, yeah, I understand your frustration. However, the only choice that you have is Joe Biden. That's it. And again, Southpaw, it doesn't matter what you tell everybody. Everybody in here has a brain of their own. Everybody in here has ears and eyes of their own. If Trump says something that makes sense, I'm going to reiterate that it makes sense. If Biden does something that's completely ignorant, like says he's not going to provide reparations unless he gives more financial assistance to Native Indigenous people, then I'm going to hammer Biden on that. And you're probably going to get hammered in the comment section. Do you know that some of these people in the comment section I've known for close to 10 years? Like Nikki? Nice try. So now here it says right now, the problem is I'm having with my listeners. What am I supposed to tell them? Now, this is interesting, right? And again, we got to bring it back to Southpaw, because this is something else that people should pay very close attention to, right? Who are we talking about in this article? We're talking about Charlemagne the God, and Charlemagne the God not endorsing Joe Biden. Yet, Southpaw didn't mention or criticize the Breakfast Club and say that the Breakfast Club is starting to lean to the right. Did you guys notice that? If you guys notice that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't notice that, give me a thumbs down. Now, Southpaw, do you support the Breakfast Club? And where would you get this analytic from? 80% of your listeners are Trump supporters. And even if 80% of my listeners are Trump supporters, so what? People are not allowed to listen to my channel because they're Trump supporters. Are you the comment section police? Are you telling me who can and can't listen to my channel? Because I don't appreciate that shit. Are you scared? Trump supporters make you shit your little pants? Shout out to Hurricane IQ. What's good with it? You don't support Biden or Trump or the Breakfast Club. So who do you support? Shout out to Adrian Hicks. Adrian Hicks said, sounds like he's using shame tactics to me. You can't shame somebody that doesn't have shame. You know what I'm saying? You can't shame somebody that don't have any shame, bro. I don't care what, you know what I'm saying? I don't care what the hell you think. I don't give a shit if 99% of my subscribers are Trump supporters. Now, what you should do is, if you're worried about some Trump supporters, you should trot your shitty little ass over there to the Fox News channel and start tearing up that comment section. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? This channel never bashes Trump? Really? I don't? Okay. So there you guys go. I never bashed Trump. Now, check this out, right? First and foremost, I've went in on Trump like crazy. But second of all, let's just say I didn't. What are you gonna do about it? what are you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? You gonna go tell mommy? You gonna tell mommy why she changing little shitty ass drawers? Oh man, that's crazy. All right, so anyway, they feel like I've already lived through a Trump presidency or I've lived through Reagan. How much worse can it get? Charlemagne continued. What do I tell them? Now, let me ask you guys this question. Is that what people are feeling like? Because I don't think that that's what people are feeling like. There's nobody saying that. There's some people that are still alive that lived through Jim Crow. The fuck is he talking about? Absolutely, RG Titan. Shout out to my man, RG Titan. If you guys agree with RG Titan, give me a thumbs up. This is an equal opportunity channel. So no matter if it's the Republicans or Democrats, they all get the business over here. Facts. Super facts. But you know, it's the political season. It's coming. You know what I'm saying? It's here. So they pay them trolls by the hour. You know what I'm saying? So let's check out this little segment right here that they posted.
When people are calling you, and specifically Black people, what are they saying they feel they have not gotten out of having voted consistently for Democrats and for Joe Biden?
Upward mobility.
Upward mobility. Charlemagne sitting up there lying. Is upward mobility what Black people are saying that they haven't gotten out of Biden? Niggas for Trump is crazy. We got troll wars going on in the comments.
Simple as that. Like, people want security, and a lot of that security is financial. Like, it's simple and plain. And it's been, whether it was President Obama, whether it was, you know, all the way back to Clinton to now Joe Biden, they feel like the Democratic Party has never promised that. And it's like right now, the problem I'm having with my listeners, what am I supposed to tell them? Like, what am I supposed to tell them?
You don't have listeners because ain't nobody listening to you. There's who's listening to Charlemagne about politics? If you're listening to Charlemagne about politics, give me a thumbs up. If you're not listening to Charlemagne about politics, give me a thumbs down. Who's listening to Charlemagne about politics?
Other than, look, man, Donald Trump is a fascist. You may think things can't get worse, but they absolutely positively.
Nobody's asking about anything getting worse. Nobody's scared. So what I want you guys to pay very close attention. They're going back to the scare tactics. No one's scared. Now, shout out to my man Adrian Hicks. I want to ask you guys this question. Is it a good look to get Charlemagne as a Black man on this mainstream media outlet to sit up here whining and crying as if him as a Black man is not strong enough to overcome weak white male racism? Literally no one is intimidated of white male racism. Nobody gives a shit about that shit. It's a non-factor as far as quote unquote fear influence. It's a joke. Nobody cares about a bunch of angry scarecrows. And literally nobody's running around saying that they are. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Shout out to 42 Tribes. 42 Tribes says, I'm a liberal, but this cowardice of Trump makes me hope he returns. Exactly. Shout out to 42 Tribes. That's exactly what I'm saying. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. They might look at me funny and call me the N-word, and I'm scared. If we gotta, I don't know if anybody can survive that. If we gotta deal with that, man, shut your corny, coward, courage the cowardly dog self up. No one is scared of no boogeyman. Let me ask y'all this. How many of y'all scared of the boogeyman? Shout out to Get Noticed with Nikki. Get Noticed with Nikki said, tell the fraud he ain't black. Right, exactly. Shout out to my man Bronze the God. What's good with you, bro? I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. What you can do is stop talking. That would be a start.
Positively can. But if they feel like I've already lived through a Trump presidency, I lived through Reagan. How much worse can that get? Like, it's like, what do I tell them? They're not afraid of just telling them to go out and vote because of fear anymore.
And again, this little video clip with no solutions. No solutions on this video clip. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna actually look at this whole thing, this entire episode of Ride Out. Hold on real quick. All right, let me see. Real quick, y'all. If y'all haven't smashed that like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream wherever you're watching from to your social media. All right, let's get it.
The Democratic Party is a diverse coalition of voters, with a large part of that coalition being Black voters. If President Biden wants to win re-election, he has to make sure that every member of that coalition feels motivated to get out and vote.
Literally, no one feels motivated to get out to vote. And the reason why no one feels motivated to get out and vote is not because Black people are lazy, because that's another narrative that the mainstream media on both sides tries to pick. I'm going to make this very clear, and probably more people with more subscribers than me are also going to make this very clear. The reason why nobody is motivated to vote for Democrats is because the Democrats were not motivated in 4 years to do shit for us. So what we're doing is we're giving you all the exact same motivation that you all gave us. It's called reciprocity. Every good relationship should have that. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
And right now, 10 months out from November, there's a lot of talk about how fragile the Biden base seems to be. Charlamagne the God is the host of the popular morning show, The Breakfast Club. His popularity with the youngins has put him in a unique position to impact the world of politics. He has praised and criticized both Donald Trump and President Biden, and interviewed politicians from Biden to Obama. And his sometimes contrarian views have brought him significant media attention, including this recent profile in Politico, which talked to him about the frustration some African-American voters, mainly Black men, are expressing about the Biden administration.
Yo, let me tell you guys something, man, real quick. Shout out to every Black man that's in the comment section. Don't no simp represent Black men. Would you guys agree? There's literally no Black man that, unless you somebody like FD Signifier or something like that, that appreciates getting represented by a simp. Charlamagne the God does not have an agenda that's in line with a quote unquote Black male agenda. Charlamagne the God has an agenda that's in line with a idiot simp agenda. So as far as him trying to come on some Black male perspective, man, that's fake. This would be the first cat sitting there talking about somebody being a misogynist or something like that. So ain't nobody trying to hear this nonsense.
Biden's deputy campaign manager, Quentin Fulks, who ran Senator Raphael Warnock's second senatorial campaign, recently addressed those concerns.
I know that it's not possible for a Democrat to be elected president of the United States without winning the African-American vote, and therefore our focus is going to be on making sure that we have those voters that they know.
Shout out to my man KO Kid Fit, man. My man KO Kid Fit always coming through dropping jewels. He said, facts. Most of the Sympocratic guys are Offset or Bussy adjacent. Big facts. If y'all agree with KO, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. That's big facts.
Know that we want to continue to earn their continued support or work to earn their continued support. And so that's where our focus is. But look, we've come out the gate swinging. The other notion that I don't like when it comes to the African-American community is that it's black men versus black women. And I'm also not going to let that take hold in this campaign.
Charlemagne's new...
And how is that going to happen? Now, as far as him saying that it's black males versus black women, these Democrat politicians, Democrat politics, Democrats are responsible for a lot. Now, both parties are responsible, right? But the Democrats, I would say, bear a larger responsibility for this quote unquote gender war that's going on. Most of the people that were involved in any of the things that sparked off any kind of gender warring between black men and black women literally came out of the Democratic Party, and they still perpetuate it today. Democratic Party. Tiffany Cross, Democratic Party. You know what I'm saying?
Venture with politics and culture analyst, political strategist, and my friend, Angela Rye, and friend of the show, is aiming to give voice to the rising majority in America, which is who Biden needs to listen to if he wants to win. Their new podcast, Native Land Pod, launched this week on iHeart Podcasts and Reasoned Choice Media, which was co-founded by Charlamagne. Angela Rye is the co-host. I recently spoke to both of them, and I began by asking Charlamagne.
So this is a Democrat value chain. You know what I'm saying? Democrat value chain. They're just sitting here, passing money back and forth, getting a paycheck, signing each other's checks, one hand washing the other. Shout out to my man U-Law. What's good with it, bro? And that's a fact. If you guys agree with Hurricane, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. This is a rally of the shills. Yeah. This is a rally of the shills. This is exactly what this is.
Why the mainstream media, and particularly Fox, seems to be so obsessed with him these days.
I know what they're doing. They're using me and the things that I say about President Biden and administration to say, see, look, black people are totally,
Hold on, y'all. Let's get past this commercial real quick.
fed up with Biden and his administration. I don't speak for all black people. Black people are not monolithic. My name is Leonard McKelvey. They call me Charlamagne Da Fraud from North Carolina, South Carolina. I speak for me and my perspective.
Yeah, who is your audience? Tell me the demo of your audience. Who are they?
I mean, it varies, right? Because I'm 45 years old now. So, we've been number one, 18 to 34 the last few months, but we've also been in number two, 25 to 54. Yeah. So I think my audience is just a diverse group of people, black, white, brown. I don't think it's just the youth, like some people may think.
But, Angela, there is this whole conversation about are black people pulling away from the Democratic Party. The numbers don't necessarily show it. Let's just put these numbers up. This is ages 18 to 34.
So I want you guys to hear what Joy Reid just said. She's a loyal shill, man. Shout out to Joy Reid for being a loyal bootlick. Man, she one of them type of bootlicks. She gets her tongue nice and positioned on the sole of the boot, and she spreads it as far wide as she can get it, where it's just right where the flaps of her tongue are right on the edge of the sole, and then she just takes a long lick from the tip of the toe to the back of the heel. That is a boot lick. A boot licking liar. Boot licking liar. She eating soul sandwich right now. You know what I'm saying? Listen to this nonsense. She gonna sit up here and lie like this. She lying just like Mike Johnston. You know what I'm saying?
People like, you know, black, white, brown. Like, I don't think it's just the youth, like some people may think.
But, you know, Angela, I mean, there is this whole conversation about are black people pulling away from the Democratic Party. I mean, the numbers don't necessarily show it.
The numbers don't necessarily show it. Now, okay, I don't know what numbers you're looking at, Miss Reed, but the numbers absolutely show it. A 20% decrease from last election to the current polling, that's pretty significant. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. That's pretty significant.
Put these numbers up. This is ages 18 to 34 overall. Biden not doing so well. He's in the low 40s. Trump's at 46. Black voters.
All right, look at that. So this, that's funny, right? This poll right here shows even more black voters for Donald Trump than the Fox poll did. This NBC poll that she's trying to debunk the idea that black people are moving away from the Democrats, this poll right here shows more black voter percentage for Donald Trump than the one that we just watched on the conservative channel.
It's still 69-20. I'm not even sure these numbers are accurate this far out from an election. Women voters of color, which is a mix, not just black voters. You can see the numbers there. 2/3 pretty much still support Democrats. Kamala Harris more popular, obviously, with black voters than she is with voters overall. Do you, as a political strategist, you've been in this business, you've been in the political game, are these numbers meaningful, or is there a genuine problem that Democrats have with black voters, and Biden specifically?
Well, here's what I want to say to you, Joy, and you know this too, because you've also been not just in the business, but in the business of serving the culture for so long. I have been in meeting after meeting.
Would you guys agree Joy Reid has been in the business of serving the culture? What has she served the culture? What is Joy Reid, quote unquote, served the culture? That's a pretty low standard for quote unquote serving the culture. Just sitting up there giving a bunch of misinformation. I would like to think that somebody I would like to think that somebody who quote unquote is known for serving the culture has served up more than disinformation pie. Yeah, I gotta agree. She bullshitted the culture. Facts. I agree with Torian. She's been in the business of serving herself. Man, this lady is delusional.
Both on the Hill and off the Hill with the party about their failure to reach their base, their most faithful base, 4 years. This is not new information. I don't know why.
Now, I'll pay attention to Angela Rye, you know what I'm saying, and how fake outrage she is. All of this fake outrage. I don't understand how this happened. They missed the mark for 4 years. At the end of the day, at the end of all of this fake outrage, she's still going to try to sell you to vote for Joe Biden for no reason. I want everybody to understand all of this theatrics, all of these performances, all of this fake outrage, all of this nonsense that these people are doing. What they're effectively doing is telling you, go ahead and vote for Joe Biden for no reason, even though he's not going to give you anything. He's not going to do anything for you. Your life is not going to significantly improve. All of the problems that you have, you're still going to currently have. Just go ahead and vote for Joe Biden anyway. They're attempting to force that on you as an ultimatum. And what I'm telling people is, please do not fall for that. Please don't fall for that.
I were surprised I don't know why folks they said I'm not holding him accountable on segments with him and all of that. Leonard is not saying anything different than what I've heard members, including the past chairs of the Congressional Black Caucus, say to the party. They're saying you're not investing enough in our community. Find the lie. Jamie Harrison will tell you that that is indeed the case, that they are working on it to change it. So why are we upset when people are pointing out the facts? The facts are enough Black consultants aren't hired. Tell me 5 Black pollsters you have. You can't because you have not created that bench. Tell me the Black candidates that you have. You've been forced to ensure that that bench is growing by the Congressional Black Caucus. You tell me the number of consultants you hire. Tell me with a fact, with a straight face, that white boys don't run the Democratic Party. And I'll call you a lie all day long.
Now, here go my question, right? All of this stuff that this lady is saying and she's outraged about, what is any of this doing as far as getting us policies? All of this babbling that this lady is doing, what has she offered? What logical and justifiable reason to give Democrats our support has she given? Has she given one reason that makes sense? If she's given a reason that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If she hasn't, then give me a thumbs down.
Yeah. Now, that does not mean that we should go and support a fascist. I don't think that either of us are saying that.
And that's what mainstream media never reports me saying. Because I've never.
There it is right now. We know we failed. We know we haven't done anything. We know that there's literally no reason for you to justify a vote for us. But I mean, if you want to go ahead on, go over there and, you know what I'm saying, go vote for this scary white dude. We can't have that. So the only thing that you can have, if you don't want to have a negative outcome, is to vote for Trump. I want y'all to pay attention. They're trying to charm you with sympathy. Like, yeah, we get it. The Democrats haven't done nothing. The Democrats aren't going to do nothing. They're pretty shitty. But I mean, if you go vote for them over there, it's over. It's over. Like, nah, man, don't fall for that nonsense. They give you all of this where you're like, oh, okay, they finally see the light on the Democrats. And then it's like, but the Republicans are that much worse. So basically what you're doing is telling us to still vote for the same people. No. No one's going to do that. No one is doing that, and no one is falling for that. No one is doing that. They are so hell-bent on trying to get back in office and not do anything for us, and instead of actually offering us something and getting legitimate support, they're trying to use illegitimate Supreme Court claims to try to get Trump taken off the ballot in all these damn states instead of offering black people some shit. These Democrats are clowns. This is an absolute clown show. This is a poor attempt, and they don't deserve support. This is a dishonest effort.
I may talk about Joe Biden and his shortcomings, but I also say Donald Trump is the end of democracy as we know it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like, you know, I might talk about Joe Biden. Joe Biden sucks. I'm a play to y'all emotions because I know y'all mad at Joe Biden, but Donald Trump is the end. The world just gonna stop spinning if Donald. Man, shut up, man. Charlemagne does not feel what Charlemagne has been saying about how he feels so bad and he doesn't know what to tell anybody. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You know what to tell people. You're telling people that bullshit that you're telling them right now. You're trying to trick people and trying to fear-monger people into voting for Biden and the Democrats. So out of all of this calculation, out of all of these talking points that these people have said, they still have not given one tangible outcome that would be guaranteed if people gave Biden their support. They're giving you a ghost story. They're giving you a boogeyman story and saying if you don't want to deal with the boogeyman, you better vote for Biden. They're not saying, well, what we're going to do is, you know, we're going to support, we're going to come out and verbally support reparations. We're going to encourage states to provide foundational Black Americans reparations. We're going to create a budget that'll supplement the state reparations budget. We're going to write anti-hate crime bills that protect Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, freemen, census qualifiers, and all that. They're not saying none of that. If you don't want to be scared, vote for Biden. Man, the hell, man, please. Don't be scared. Life is scary every day. Nobody care. What I want people to take away from this is to pay very close attention to the insult to the intelligence. They go on a whole 15, 20-minute spiel about how bad the Democrats are and then turn around and tell you to go vote for them. They really running out of tactics.
You've seen it, like, you know, he attempted a coup of this country to overturn, you know, the vote. So it's like
and the votes of people who look like us.
That's right. So we see what he's capable of.
Yeah. And the question, though, I think, and you do radio, and I do love radio. I do miss radio because you get to talk to people. You get to talk to actual people and callers. So when people are calling you, and specifically Black people, what are they saying they feel they have not gotten out of having voted consistently for Democrats and for Joe Biden?
Upward mobility. Simple as that. Like, people.
Is upward mobility an honest answer? Now, let me ask you guys this question. If I ask you all in the comment section, what have you not gotten from the Biden administration? I want you guys to give me your answers of what you all feel that we should have gotten versus what we did not get.
Want security, and a lot of that security is financial. Like, it's simple and plain. And it's just been, whether it was President Obama, whether it was, you know, all the way back to Clinton to now Joe Biden, they feel like the Democratic Party has never promised that. And it's like right now the problem I'm having with my listeners, what am I supposed to tell them? Like, what am I supposed to tell them other than, look, man, Donald.
And I want you guys to pay very close attention again. Southpaw supports widening the racial wealth gap. Southpaw supports open borders. Southpaw supports the attack on Black American history. Southpaw supports American descendants of slave owners being politicians and presidents. Southpaw supports all of that. Southpaw supports trying to get people to not be independent thinkers. Southpaw wants you to automatically react a certain way to things because you're Black. Now, I want you guys to pay very close attention. All of the stuff that I just said that Southpaw supports, he didn't deny that he supports it. But he did type in the comment section, nope, I don't support Trump. So there's that. So that's pretty, you know, that if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know what does.
Trump is a fascist. You may think things can't get worse, but they absolutely positively can. But if they feel like, I've already lived through a Trump presidency. I lived through Reagan. How much worse can that get? Like, it's like, what do I tell them? They're not afraid of just telling them to go out and vote because of fear anymore.
And the thing is, we saw, you're not supposed to stand up and shout out in church, but we all watched what happened inside Mother Emanuel. And this was not Black people standing up. This was non-Black folks, but they were very passionate about Gaza. And you saw a Black woman defend Joe Biden. That's the base that's going to vote for him, right?
Yeah, that's the base that won him the 2020 election. Yeah.
So when you're thinking about things like, we both talked about the sexy red thing offline, that, people are like, I got a stimmy with Donald Trump's name on it. So I know I got it. When Biden sent me a stimmy, I don't remember it.
Yes.
On Gaza, it's a complicated thing because Black folks see those Palestinians and they see themselves.
Yes.
I don't see myself when I see Palestinians. I see myself when I look in the mirror. Now, do you guys agree with what Joy Reid is saying here? Joy Reid said, when Black people see Palestinians, we see ourselves. I don't. I don't see myself when I see a Palestinian. I see myself when I look in the mirror.
Election, So when you're thinking about things like, we both talked about the sexy red thing offline, that, people are like, I got a stimmy with Donald Trump's name on it. So I know I got it. When Biden sent me a stimmy, I don't remember it.
Yes.
On Gaza, it's a complicated thing because Black folks see those Palestinians and they see themselves.
Yes.
So with all of these issues, do you feel that the administration, do they seem to understand that they do have a problem, particularly with younger Black voters, on economics on Gaza?
I think that this is a complicated issue. And the reason for that is, just as well as we have friends who work in this administration. We have some friends who have been in there fighting tooth and nail to ensure the administration doesn't just see it, but addresses it.
Right.
The problem that we have, I think part of what Leonard is addressing is when a foreign country needs aid, the United States acts and promptly. And
Now, this degree of foreign policy, how many people are concerned with this degree of foreign policy to this extent? Shout out to MC Fact. What's good with it, bro? And shout out to Monty Pool. What's good with you? This is a bunch of babbling, and this is a bunch of nonsense. And if I was these two, I wouldn't really be going around bragging that they're part of that base that, quote unquote, put Biden in office. Because I don't think anybody is happy with Biden being put in office. And I don't think people are really happy that Biden got put in office. So I wouldn't really be bragging about that. That's not the flex. You know what I'm saying? I would be kind of laying low on that one. But again, what this is that this is Joy Reid running off of a Democrat shill script to speak over a microphone on a major network to appeal to white people's stereotypes about how they want to perceive Black people as thinking. It makes them comfortable to perceive Black people as having a slave mentality, as if we're going to run around and play hero for everybody else. People have been saying it for the last couple years, and people going to keep saying it for years to come. These people can hold their own nuts. We got our own shit to do. I don't really have time to be paying attention to what's going on over in Palestine to the extent where I'm going to be that freaking involved in it. Of course, I cover it for purposes of content, right? But as far as political and what I care about politically, most of my politics that I care about are on the local level and based on reparations. That is the very first priority. Everything else is second, third, fourth, fifth, if I even care at all or give any effort to it all. And also, other people's sentiments count. So if we got a majority of anti-Black people and they think that they're going to be getting some type of support, they better fix those anti-black sentiments, or they better fix themselves to find somebody else to support them, because nobody is going to be giving away support for free, especially the people that are racist. Palestinians got a huge, lengthy history of anti-black racism. Good luck. That same anti-black racism energy that you have for us, use that to defend yourself from the people that's bombing your country up, because we got other shit to deal with. Now, you can poke yourself out. You can poke your chest out to be rude to a black kid that comes into your store. Poke your chest out and be rude and stop a missile.
Will figure out a way to answer the call even without an act of Congress. When it comes time for Black people to need aid, even a reparations discussion, people are like, wait, reparations, who, where, why, right? And that is really the problem. We have a people who are dying literally to feel heard, to feel embraced, to feel supported, to feel sacrificed for as much as we sacrifice at the ballot, even through voter suppression, even through a pandemic, through all of that. And that's the thing. So once, just meet us halfway, I think is the real
Okay, very quickly before we go, we're out of time, but let me play a clip. Can I play a clip? Play the clip.
It's nice to have a space, a safe space, as you talked about in the oath, where we can speak truthfully. And I think this is a podcast for everyone. If you have intellectual curiosity about your fellow countrymen who don't look like you, this is a place where you can come and hear that.
Very quickly, that name and that voice.
There's literally nobody that, none of the, like, the only reason why any of those quote unquote countrymen that don't look like us care about anything that we're talking about is to try to derange the internal politics, like Southpaw, going to different people's chats. You know, you guys pay attention, you'll see him all over YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Should sound familiar.
Tiffany Cross.
Tiffany
Cross.
Quickly tell us about Native Land Pod.
Native Land Pod is a project from Reason Choice Media, which we co-created with our good friend Chris Morrow.
That's right.
Native Land Pod, first episode dropped today.
Yes.
People are loving it. It's me, Andrew Gillum, and Tiffany Cross.
I love
every Thursday.
A long time.
So as you guys can see, she said me, Andrew Gillum. What she say? Me, Andrew Gillum, and Tiffany Cross. Now that's interesting that they allowed something involving Tiffany Cross to be given advertisement and airtime on NBC. Don't you guys think that that's interesting? Listen to this.
First episode dropped today.
Yes.
People are loving it. It's me, Andrew Gillum, and Tiffany Cross.
Me, Andrew Gillum, and Tiffany Cross. So she's got a Democrat politician on there and a former NBC employee. This is Democrat value chain shill nonsense on steroids. Okay? That's what this is. Charlemagne is a shill. This dude is an op. You know what I'm saying? And what I find fascinating about that is that Facebook and Twitch did not allow me to use that the title that I have on YouTube. Facebook and Twitch didn't allow me to have that title. Charlemagne is directly in contact with the Democrats. They are his boss. They sign his checks. They have backdoor communications with this clown. And they're helping him, right? And they're giving him suggestions as well as guidance on the kind of narrative to run to try to get people to vote for him. To get people to vote for them. You know what I'm saying?
The African American community stood up again for me. You always had my back, and I'll have yours.
Now let's attack that. I'll always have your back. You've always had my back, and I'll always have yours. I want you guys to name me one instance this year where Joe Biden had our back.
Welcome back to America Decides. More than 3 years after his victory speech, President Biden faces what appears to be, at least to the polls, waning support among black voters in our country. This, as an influential radio host named Charlamagne Da God, says he regrets backing Biden in 2020. He told Politico, quote, "It's almost like Democrats are doing this purity test. America's not pure. The people of America are not pure. We're flawed. I'm not looking for my politicians to be pure. I'm looking for my politicians to be effective." National political reporter for Politico, Braxton Booker, who
Real
wrote
quick,
that
ladies
piece
and
on
gentlemen,
Charlamagne Da
make
God.
sure you guys show Kale some love. Shout out to Kale. Kale's a member on my other channel. He's also now a member on this channel. And I think he was a member before, but I think he just recently rejoined. So shout out to you, bro. I appreciate that. You guys all know that the memberships and, you know, whatever type of financial contribution you guys do to the channel definitely helps. I reinvest everything back into the channel. We getting close to 100 members on this channel as well. Let me see. Hold on real quick. We're going to see exactly how close we are. Hold on real quick. Let me see what we got. Yeah, we got 89 members. All we need is 11 members on this channel, and all we need is 6 on BLR1. You guys, we can get 11 members by the end of the stream. Smash that like button, hit that bell, share the stream. Let's get it.
Joins us now. Braxton, it's great to see you. Fantastic piece.
Thank you.
Let's dig into this. According to a Gen Forward survey, which you also wrote about in a separate piece for Politico, 17% of black Americans support former President Trump. 20% said they're not for Biden or Trump. Let's do the quick math. 37% not in the Biden coalition. That's a big number.
It's a big number. And
Does Charlamagne Da God reflect that?
I think he does. Look, he expressly voted for and supported President Biden during the 2020 election. And he clearly is saying he does not have the support of Charlamagne Da God this time around. And he says that Biden has not been an effective messenger. And he feels that Biden has not kept some of his promises that he made on.
Now, I want you guys to pay very close attention to what the media is doing. What the media is doing is the media is putting all of the focus on Charlamagne, and the media is using Charlamagne as a vehicle to say this is what black people are doing. So the media has chosen Charlamagne as the representation for quote unquote black people. None of us have an individual voice. Charlamagne is Black America, which is insane. It's insane to have Black America represented by Charlamagne. That is insane. And when this is brought up, everybody needs to stomp this out and tell anybody talking about this how stupid of an idea it is and how stupid they are if they think that a freaking DJ represents every single black person in America. If somebody can look at what this DJ is doing and say, this is what Black America is doing. But I want you guys to understand that the pseudo-legitimate WS media, that's what they're trying to pull off on people.
On the campaign trail, and certainly he's not appeared on his radio show since the 2020 election. I think that has something to do with it too.
Is it worth saying that he's not just any radio host?
Oh, I think it's fair to say that. He's more of a mogul. I mean, he has not just the Breakfast Club, which has roughly 8 million monthly listeners, according to him.
8 million monthly listeners.
He also has a podcast. He's an author. He has several businesses. He has another podcast that's been going on for about 10 years called Brilliant Idiots that does other things that are in the pop culture realm. So he touches a lot of different industries, including obviously the music industry. So he has a lot of influence across multiple.
He's a mega influencer.
Absolutely.
And in the political sphere, a not insignificant one that any White House, but particularly this one.
Let me ask you guys this question. If the Breakfast Club goes, will the Brilliant Idiot podcast continue to be successful? That's my question for you guys. If the Brilliant Idiots podcast, or I'm sorry, if the Breakfast Club collapses, will the Brilliant Idiots podcast continue to be successful? If it will, then give me a thumbs up. If it will not, then give me a thumbs down.
Has to pay attention to.
Well, look, I think for a White House that is, as we had discussed, this seems to be waning support with among Black voters. It would seem that you would go to this platform to have a conversation with these voters that seem to be peeling off, or at least don't seem interested in what Biden is selling, to go sell your message, right? But the administration, when you're talking to folks who are on the campaign, they say they do not need Charlemagne. They have enough in the repertoire. They're going to South Carolina next week to Mother Emanuel Church, historical Black church down there. They say they can engage voters on their own, and they don't need Charlemagne's platform in order to engage voters. And we'll see which method plays out here.
It's not an indictment, but it's a political criticism that Charlamagne the God expresses. Let's take a quick listen.
You actually have to follow through on those promises. And whatever the reasons, out of the 99 biggest promises Biden made to people, he's only following through on about 30% of them. One thing America doesn't forgive is weakness. They want to see you fighting for your goals. And on some key issues, Biden seems to be waving the white flag. He just looks weak. And I'm not talking about physically. People want to see that president going to the mat to get what he wants. And it doesn't help that anytime Biden does take a strong stand on something, his staff comes out to say he didn't mean it.
Let's take a look at two of those things, weakness and walk back. That's what he's talking about when the staff says, no, not that, weakness and walk back. Is that the essence of his criticism?
Well, it's not only that. It's also that he fails to play up his own message, his own victories, his own policy achievements, right? When you look at former President Trump, who took outsized credit for a lot of policies that maybe he shouldn't have, at least he was selling his message to his voters, to the American people, saying, look, this is what I did for you. Like the one example is the stimulus checks.
Yes. What's the name?
Folks call them stimmies. Like, if you got those stimulus checks, you're like, yo, I got my stimmies, I'm gonna go put that in the bank.
Who signed that check?
Donald Trump had his big signature on there. And
now, what is it that they keep talking about, these damn stimmies and these big signatures? You guys recall Angela Rye and Joy Reid and Charlemagne were talking about this. Why the focal point on that?
A lot of people.
And Charlemagne looks at that and says, that's not crass, that's smart.
It's smart politics. It's smart politics from Charlemagne's perspective, because even if you don't like Trump, even if you were turned off by some of his rhetoric, you got those checks, you saw Donald Trump's name on it, you're like, well, my government is actually working for me in this instance. Now, look, Biden passed policies, especially in his first year in office, that also could be seen as stimmies, but the Biden administration is not playing those up as saying, hey, we put money in your accounts, making sure that you stayed afloat when businesses were closed in 2021 when we first took office and things were not quite open during the height of the pandemic. But the Biden administration does not want to take those kind of cues from Trump, because they're too busy kind of drawing a contrast of all his legal woes at this point.
For Charlamagne the God, it started with Kamala Harris.
Yes.
The entree to this world in the Biden White House, but that is cool if I read your story correctly.
Yeah, it appears
that seems to me as much a big dynamic of this as anything else.
Well, look, behind the scenes, we know that there are some back.
This is important. Pay close attention to this. Pay close attention to the quote unquote behind the scenes part.
Dynamic of this as anything else.
Well, look, behind the scenes, we know that there are some back channeling that goes on between the White House and Charlemagne.
Why is the White House contacting Charlemagne? He's a radio DJ. He's a freaking DJ. What would the White House need to be in touch with him about? Unless it's to debut some new album. If the White House is in touch with him, they're in touch with him because they're telling him what to do. They either like something that he's doing or they don't like something that he's doing. And the fact that he's made himself available to be reached out and touched means that they tell him what to do. And if they tell him what to do, then that means that he's a plant, he's an informant, he's a rat. Now, if that's not a damn agent, I don't know what is. So now, here's my question for everybody. Based on this, can we definitively say that Charlamagne the God is acting on behalf of the White House? He represents the White House. He has correspondence to the White House, and he takes directives and reports to the White House. If he does all of those things, then he fits the definition of an actual op, of an actual agent. If you all agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down and let me know why. And so now, Southpaw was curious about why I have issues with the Democratic Party. The fact that they have agents out here utilizing infrastructure like a radio station that has a reach of over 8 million people, got a little bit of a problem with that. My bad. But I don't think that I'm alone.
That got it started with Kamala Harris.
Yes.
The entree to this world in the Biden White House. But that is cool if I read your story correctly.
Yeah, it appears
that seems to me as much a big dynamic of this as anything else.
Well, look, behind the scenes, we know that there are some back channeling that goes on between the White House and Charlemagne. They like to talk to him about, hey, I think you've kind of characterized this issue in an inaccurate way, but they don't tell him to turn down the rhetoric. Charlemagne eventually endorsed Biden because
by telling him that, that's telling him to change the rhetoric. If they reach out and say, hey, you did this wrong, that's implying that you did something wrong. That's telling him to change it without saying it. We're not
his relationship with Kamala Harris. And that has seemed to cool just because he feels like once she got into office, she really kind of took a step back and did not engage as much with him. Now, the last time they talked publicly was on his Comedy Central show.
Where that got a little frosty.
It got a little frosty. But look, it got frosty but in that same moment when Charlemagne asked Vice President Kamala Harris, who's the real president? Is it Joe Manchin or is it Joe Biden? A lot of people point to that moment as like, that is the real Kamala. Where has that Kamala been? Because she dropped the air of being a vice president and talked directly to him, said, look, you know the answer to that. It's Joe Biden. And how could you use these Republican talking points when you're talking to me, the Vice President Kamala Harris? And people saw that moment like, where has that person been? But publicly, they have not had another public interview like that. And so people are kind of reading between the lines. It's like, maybe this relationship is not what it once was. Because, I mean, he campaigned with her in South Carolina in 2019.
And what, to me, was the most revealing part of that interview. It got a little frosty. What's that mean? Right. Facts. The most revealing part of that interview was the part about the back channel communication. And so if you didn't trust Charlemagne before, if you didn't think that Charlemagne was a fraud, hopefully after seeing this live stream, you will be able to have some legitimate questions that you can ask yourself about whether it's a good idea to trust anything that Charlamagne the God says. And if you ask my recommendation is absolutely not. His fake outrage campaign is fake. He's on the payroll. He's not trying to do political outreach for the benefit of people. He's doing political outreach to fatten his pockets. He has no cares in the world of causing irreversible damage. He's agenda-based. You know what I'm saying? And if you guys can think of anything else that's accurate and caution-worthy from Charlamagne the God, make sure you guys leave it in the comment section after the stream, all right? I want to shout out everybody who contributed to the stream. I appreciate each and every one of you all. Shout out to Seeking the Truth Ministry for the $5 super sticker. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9 for 11 months of membership support. Definitely appreciate it, bro. And shout out to Lloyd Sky 9 with the $5 super chat. Shout out to Phil Mayo with the $10 super chat. Shout out to Patrick Taylor with the $4.99 super chat. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Shout out to Miss Nisi, always showing love. Definitely appreciate you, Miss Nisi, with the $5 super chat. And shout out to my man, Kale Bonner, for doubling down on the membership support over here. It is definitely Definitely appreciate it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not subscribed to all the channels, take a moment, subscribe to all the channels. If you're not part of the Discord, take a moment, hit that link that's pinned in the chat, join the Discord, follow me on my other social media. All right, make sure you guys leave lots of comments after the stream. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
walk up in the life. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour, got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on money, that's on TV, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that face. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey.